Another year, come and gone, another buttload of games to play. Right off the bat, I want to stress that this list is unlike a lot of the top 10 lists you've been seeing circulating the internet. I've played a lot of games in 2018, but not all of them were exactly released in 2018, but rather I just happened to stumble into these games during the year. There will be no doubt some games not on this list that you think should be. As I'm just one guy, there's a big chance those games either weren't on my radar or I just haven't played them. So please understand if your favorites do not make the cut. But I'm just gonna say this once. This is my list, my opinion. Let other people enjoy things, god damn it. Now that's out of the way. Let's get into it, shall we? Starting off with number 10, we have Celeste. From a first glance, you'd be forgiven for thinking this is your run-of-the-mill 2D retro platformer. With its very minimalist pixel art style and tough platforming sections, it seems just like another indie platformer. Where it differs, however, is its incredibly heartfelt story of a young girl named Madeline, trying to climb the titular Celeste Mountain. The mountain not only represents a physical hurdle for Madeline to overcome during gameplay, but an emotional one as well, as she struggles to battle anxiety and depression, as well as how she views herself, personified by her shadowy doppelganger. This story caught me completely off guard, as I wasn't expecting anywhere this kind of depth of character from a game that looks like this. With its unique air dash and climbing mechanics, as well as constantly throwing in new mechanics like these galaxy boxes, I don't know what else to call them. Celeste manages to capture that old school feel while providing a relatable story of self-doubt and overcoming your fears. Moving into number 9, we have Nier Automata. I'm gonna say Automata. The newest game from Bayonetta developer Platinum Games. I played this game on PC right at the beginning of the year, and it almost immediately caught my attention and held it throughout its 20 to 30 hour playtime. Nier Automata is primarily a hack and slash RPG, but you also catch glimpses of shoot 'em up sections throughout your long journey through the game, and those bullet hell aesthetics even carry over into the hack and slashing, as your screen will almost always be filled with enemy bullets to dodge. While the story is very hard to wrap your head around, the main question I pulled from it was what it actually means to be human, despite never actually seeing another human being in game. You play as 2B and 9S, androids part of the Yorha, a militia of androids sent to reclaim Earth from its alien machine invaders after the remains of humanity has fled to the moon. With gorgeous visuals and art design, addicting combat, and a beautiful music score, revisiting Nier Automata to get footage for this video has made me want to dive in all over again. And, maybe actually see all of the game's endings, as the end of the game really isn't the end of the game. Number 8 is a game I'd never thought would see the light of day. Mega Man 11 is a return to form. Every bit as fun as you remember from the series' 8-bit glory days, and every bit as challenging. With 8 brand new robot masters to overcome and the inclusion of the brand new double gear system, Mega Man 11 is the next generation Mega Man fans have been dying for, especially after the disappointment that was Mighty Number 9. The double gear system allows you to either slow down time or power up your Mega Buster, and balancing those gears on limited usage and cooldown quickly becomes a dance of resource management. The speed gear also allows the developers to crank out obstacles and bosses up to ludicrous speeds, making it all the more satisfying when you eventually beat them. Being very similar to Mega Man's 9 and 10 with its store to buy items and lives, the chance of starting over entire levels is a bit lessened, but very possible, as you're gonna need every single life you buy. I still haven't even beaten the damn thing, thanks to the nightmare that is the Yellow Devil at the end of Wily Stage 1, but when it comes to 2D platformers, I love me a sense of challenge, and it doesn't get much more challenging than this. Number 7 may have come out in 2018, but if you had a PlayStation in the late 90s, chances are you've already played this game. Or games. albeit with a lot less detail. The Spyro Reignited Trilogy was my first foray into the Spyro the Dragon series, and goddamn have I been missing out. Remastering the first 3 games in the series, Spyro Reignited is a fantastic return to the 3D platformer design of yesteryear, with gems around every corner, new abilities and collectibles to find, and Pixar-esque visuals as the team at Toys for Bob rebuilt each game from the ground up. They even gave each dragon you saved from Spyro 1 their own unique designs, rather than the colored swapped same model from the original. I felt compelled to push forward just to see them all, because this is a whole lot better than this. Incredible level design, controls as smooth as butter, and music composed by a member of the police? Seriously? Okay, cool. Oh, and the Amanda Show totally stole music from Spyro for its credits. I'm just saying. Going into number 6, I can already hear everyone complaining. Red Dead is only number 6? What is this nonsense? Don't get me wrong, Red Dead Redemption 2 is a revolutionary game, bringing a sense of realism to its world never before seen in a video game, with amazing characters and a tragic story showing us the rise and fall of the Vanderlyn gang we heard so much about in Red Dead 1. Red Dead 2 does everything a sequel should. There's an incredible number of things to do within its massive and beautiful world, and there's plenty of interesting side quests to keep yourself preoccupied from actually beating the damn thing. That being said, I think Red Dead 2 may have taken the whole realism thing a bit too far, as this is a video game after all, and when 70% of gameplay boils down to this, or this, I stopped having fun. I see what Rockstar was going for, but there are a few design choices that really didn't jive with me very well. But this is a best of list, and Red Dead Redemption 2 is a beautiful look into life in America at the turn of the 19th century, and showcases the struggles of adapting to a new, more industrialized America in its main cast of characters. And with that rockin' cowboy music score, it's hard not to love what Red Dead 2 had to offer. So number 5 is by far the oldest game on this list, but it is one I've been meaning to get around to for quite some time. After getting spanked by PK Freeze in Smash Bros. One too many times, I remembered that, hey, I still haven't beaten Mother 3, despite Earthbound being one of my favorite RPGs of all time. So then I beat it, and I haven't been the same since. Its gameplay is basically the same as Earthbound before it, with the addition of this combo system used by pressing the attack button in rhythm with the battle music. You play as Lucas, most of the time, traversing around the Nowhere Islands in order to save the island from the Pigmas army and their leader, who you might remember from Earthbound. It's this little shit. The gameplay might be run-of-the-mill, but the story is nothing but. As cartoonish and kid-friendly as this game looks, this is probably the darkest Nintendo game to date. It gets real, man. Like, I would love to talk about it, but you just gotta play it yourself. I'd hate to rob the impact of these story beats from anyone who hasn't played it, because the story just gets to me, man. I fucking cried during the final battle with this mysterious masked man, and if you've played the game, you know why. Mother 3 has still yet to actually have a Western release, but you can find a link to the fan translation, which I used to play, in the description. Play the game, people. You won't be disappointed. You'll finally know where Lucas is from. You just do it. Play the game. Number 4 is a game that was universally praised at the time of its release, and is by far the shortest game on this list. This game is at the forefront of the games are art debates, and for good reason. I am, of course, talking about that game company's Journey. Believe it or not, my first experience with Journey was in 2018, playing it on the PC of all things, thanks to the PlayStation Now service. The game is just about as simple as you can get. You play as a mysterious masked figure, a robed figure, whose only goal is to reach the summit of the mountain on the horizon. As for control, you'll only have 2 that you'll actually need. A flying ability, which can be upgraded by finding little light pellets, and a little ping ability, in which you use to interact with these weird little carpet people that help you along your journey. You can even play through the game cooperatively online, albeit with no voice chat, only being able to communicate by pinging one another. This was fully intentional, as it allows players to develop a very odd relationship with their companion, in that you project whatever you want this companion to be. They could be your guide if you're less familiar with the world, or vice versa if you've already completed your journey and wish to help others do the same. As vague as the story may be, it's incredibly moving once you reach the end. As with life itself, it's not about where it ends, but the journey to get there. It's very easily completable in one sitting with a roughly 2-hour playtime, and you'll want to do it in all one go. It's basically my go-to chill game nowadays, as I let its gorgeous visuals and beautiful music just wash over me like a soothing wave of enlightenment. God, that sounds pretentious. I'll be honest about number 3. I've heard everyone and their mom going on and on about this game, and I gave it one look and just kind of shrugged it off as another one of those wacky JRPGs I don't want anything to do with. But when I heard that Joker from Persona 5 was making his way into Smash Bros., I thought it was high time I gave it a try. And from the opening seconds, when this track dropped during the opening, whew, I knew I was in for something special. Persona 5 puts you in the shoes of insert protagonist name here, as he's moved to a new school after being convicted of an assault he was wrongfully accused of. Soon after, you're transported to some crazy shadow world where the disordered desires of sinful adults manifest themselves in large palaces, fueled by their sins and populated by enemies known as shadows. As you and your friends awaken to their personas, a personification of their rebellious spirits that help them fight in battle, you form the Phantom Thieves of Hearts, and task yourselves with stealing the hearts of the rotten adults all across the city in order to make them confess their sins with their own mouths. I know, it's a lot. It's a lot. Each palace is basically a dungeon, and where the turn-based battles and sneaky sneaks come in. Otherwise, you're just living a normal life as a Japanese high school student, working part-time jobs, hanging with friends, studying for exams, the usual. Each of these daily tasks work towards making your Phantom Thieves even stronger and more accepted by the public eye. It may seem a bit mundane, but the characters you meet along the way all but make up for it. With a beautifully stylized presentation and one of the best soundtracks that has ever graced my ears, Persona 5 is a delight. I'm still working through its incredibly long 90+ hour runtime, but I already know that this is one of the best RPGs I've ever played. Oh, and there's a talking cat.
Don't call me a cat!
Okay, sorry, not a cat. It's a cat. Number 2 was by far the game I was most excited for coming into 2018. So much so that I actually went out and bought a PlayStation 4 specifically to play this game, Marvel's Spider-Man. I will say that I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, so its high ranking on this list is definitely part of my bias towards the web-slinging wall crawler, and a lot of what I'm saying is kind of just repeating myself from my PS4 video. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. It's pretty good. It's pretty good stuff. It's good. I need the views, please. But I still don't think I'm very far off. Dropping you into a massive and most fully realized version of New York in a video game, Marvel's Spider-Man does everything right to ensure you, the player, feel every bit as awesome as Spider-Man is and has been since his debut way back in the 60s. With the best web-slinging mechanics since Spider-Man 2, and satisfying combat that will have you zipping from enemy to enemy like a goddamn pinball, plenty of enemy hideouts to clear, random New Yorkers to help, and plenty of challenge missions that will have you pulling your webs out. There's no shortage of content here, especially with the 3 DLC packs out now that I have yet to play. Not to mention one of the best Spider-Man stories told, period. Before Spider-Verse came out, this game was my favorite Spider-Man movie. Yuri Lowenthal's portrayal of Peter Parker is right on the money, and just what I expected from a reasonably seasoned Spider-Man. The Mary Jane missions are kind of a pain, but work very well from a story perspective. If you're a Marvel fan and you haven't played this game, you're doing yourself a great disservice by not playing Marvel's Spider-Man. Now before we get to my top pick, here's 5 honorable mentions that I'm gonna try and kind of speed my way through, so get ready. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee were a wonderful return to the Kanto region, and I came to love the capturing mechanics I thought I'd hate before release. Though it's relatively short and not much in the challenge department, it's a nice palate cleanser before the true Gen 8 will get on Switch in 2019. Get it? Palate cleanser? God of War is dominating everyone else's best of 2018 list, but unfortunately I haven't played it enough to have a definitive opinion on it. I played the opening hour and had a blast with it. The snap of the axe flying back to my hand is incredibly satisfying, and the fight with the stranger was absolutely incredible. I'm sure this would have made the list if I played it more, so it gets the honorable mention. The same goes for Assassin's Creed Odyssey, as I just haven't played it enough. That being said, it seems like a great leap forward for the franchise, as 3 was the last one I played, with an open world that allows for exploration rather than following a waypoint. I can see myself having a blast searching for objectives in this beautiful depiction of ancient Greece rather than just being shown them on a map. The remake of Shadow of the Colossus is one I've had my eyes on for quite some time, despite not playing as much as I'd like to. Too many games! Hunting down and killing the 2 Colossi I've reached is really astounding. The sense of scale for these battles is unlike anything I've ever played, and I'm looking forward to getting back to it. And finally, Fortnite. Yes, Fortnite, the game that's taking the world by storm. I refuse to put it on this list as it's nothing out of the ordinary, but goddamn is it addicting. I got hooked in around Season 5, but fell out near the middle of Season 6 since I've had better games to play. It's no small feat what Fortnite has accomplished, but definitely nowhere near Game of the Year material. Sorry, not sorry. Oh, God. Okay. Let's get into number 1. You've probably already guessed what my number 1 pick is from the amount of times I've mentioned it in this video alone. But my game of the year is most definitely Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I've always been a Smash Bros. Fan, as it kind of just goes hand in hand with being a Nintendo fan. The amount of games and franchises I've been exposed to thanks to Smash Bros. Is more than enough to love this series, but what makes me come back every new installment is that addicting gameplay. I've been pretty casual up to this point, but I've gone full in on Smash Ultimate, trying to be the best player that I can. I know that I'll never be pro material, but seeing my 2.5 million GSP with Young Link just makes me happy. With almost 70 characters and 6 more on the way through DLC, including this planty boy, Smash Bros. Ultimate is truly the biggest video game crossover in history, with a multitude of different modes and features to keep players hooked for years to come. World of Light in itself is a 20 to 30 hour single player adventure, which is what Smash Wii U was sorely missing, as well as character-specific classic mode runs, squad strikes, Smashdown, Special Smash, the Spirit Board. There's just so many ways to play, not to mention all of the customizable rule sets that you and your friends can make. Though the online functionality is kind of lacking, which is the case for basically all of Nintendo's online games, it still works leagues better than Brawl and Wii U's ever did. With more than 100 stages, over 800 music tracks, and more than 1,000 spirits, this truly is the ultimate Smash Brothers game. And goddamn, if you don't love that frickin' main theme, I don't know what to say. It's a work of art. It truly is. And that's it. That's my top 10 games of 2018. Does it line up with your favorite games of the year? If not, post a comment on what your top 10 games of the year, and be sure to like the video, ring that little bell, and subscribe to the channel for more video gaming goodness. Oh God. Until next time, deuces, fam.